Assassin's Creed Odyssey. This game is definitely the most split in terms of fan reception. There's quite a fair amount of people that absolutely despise Assassin's Creed Odyssey, purely because, well, it's a game that's not exactly traditional Assassin's Creed. However, there's also a lot of people, myself included, that quite enjoy this game because it offers something unique and different to the franchise. Yeah, this game has nothing to do with what we all love, which is of course a story relating to assassins and templars. It's also a complete RPG game, but it's a game that really does give you a different outlook on the pretty rundown franchise that is Assassin's Creed. So what I want to do in this video is go over and talk about the game from its stunning world, to the story, the characters, the side content and so on. This is Assassin's Creed Odyssey 6 years later. Damn, it's really been 6 years. Oh, and real quick, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, why not consider subscribing? You don't have to, but it'll help me out quite a lot. Anyway, with that said, let's just get right into it. If there's one thing that I'd never be bored of when it comes to Assassin's Creed, that would have to be the setting and time period of where a game takes place. We've had some pretty stunning settings such as Victorian London, revolutionary Paris, ancient Egypt, and now Ubisoft threw us into the mix with a setting as equally stunning, being ancient Greece. Whether you like Assassin's Creed Odyssey as a game, you surely must appreciate how beautifully created the setting is in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. The game takes place during the clash between the Spartan and Athenian warriors during the infamous Peloponnesian War. The sheer size and scale of Greece in Assassin's Creed Odyssey is, I believe, the largest and vast map so far in the series, and it's pretty clear to see. For example, take a look at where I'm currently standing. It's pretty much the tutorial island, and where the game starts off over in Kefalonia. Now just over in the distance, all of that is accessible and explorable, which is quite mind-boggling. I will admit, when compared to the game that came before, being Assassin's Creed Origins, the landscape variety in Assassin's Creed Odyssey may appear a bit diluted to some. You see, while Origins kicks off with the rolling, golden desert sands, taking bike through lively oasis towns, a very busy Alexandria, and even the eerie streets of Memphis, Odyssey's depiction of Greece leans more towards a single consistent theme. Unlike the very diverse terrain of Egypt, much of Greece resembles one single setting with hills and grassy expanses. And although there are some pretty distinct places like vibrant forests, desolate volcanic islands, and even iconic Greek cities such as Athens, it's perfectly fine to admit that the experience of exploring Assassin's Creed Origins world is more well thought out, and that's okay to say. It still means the setting of ancient Greece is remarkable. If there's one thing I'll give Ubisoft credit for, it's gotta be the historical implementation into the Assassin's Creed games. For example, we have the Palazzo della Signora in Assassin's Creed 2, the Notre Dame in Unity, St. Paul's Cathedral in Syndicate, and even the Alexandria Lighthouse in Origins. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is no exception. Yes, granted there's a slight fantastical exaggeration in some of its historical portrayal, it's still pretty accurate in most regards. Like many games in general, Assassin's Creed Odyssey kicks off with a bang. The first few missions take place in a pretty sizable kind of playground area, which gives a great introduction to the setting of Greece. Kefalonia is packed with unique content, perhaps due to the novelty factor. Regardless, the impact is pretty much the same. Of course, me being the man-child that I am, I remember when I first saw that massive statue of Zeus on the island. The first thing I did was scale it and hang on to his ass cheeks to take a screenshot. I know I'm not the only one that did that. Go on, admit it in the comments below. Anyway, after exploring Kefalonia and all that it has to offer, we pretty much set sail, and from here, the world of Assassin's Creed Odyssey truly opens up. The map is marked by regions with recommended levels for you to explore. However, there's really nothing preventing you from exploring anywhere, and even the areas suitable for low to mid-level builds are pretty large and expansive. There was one thing that kind of annoyed me a bit when it came to exploring, and I don't know if I'm the only one that has this opinion, but I felt like the exploration in Assassin's Creed Odyssey is somewhat penalized. Now what I mean by that is, let's say I'm heading to the main story quest marker on the map and I decide to clear a cave or an enemy fortress on the way there as a minor detour. I'd often then later receive a quest that would take me back to the exact same cleared cave or fortress that I just did. I will admit, it's pretty amusing to hear your main protagonist warning us about enemies in the area in an already empty cave, but then it also does become more of an annoyance, because I'd have missed out on the thrill of an engaging plot taking place in that area. As the game progresses, the design flaws of said fortresses or camps become apparent. While most areas appear unique, I did notice that they play out very similar to each other. You see, when entering caves, camps or fortresses, a window appears and prompts you to loot chests, kill captains and so on. This window will not disappear until you complete all the tasks, accompanied accompanied by satisfying effects and experience rewards. But the issue lies in the repetitiveness, turning what could be interesting challenges into repetitive tedium. It raises the question of whether clearing numerous enemy fortresses adds genuine interest and fun, or if it becomes another thing to do while exploring the world. It pretty much becomes a matter of respecting the player's time and actually questioning the true enjoyment derived from these activities. The world of Odyssey impressively aligns terrain features, landmarks, villages and towns with historical accuracy. A massive city such as Athens is meticulously laid out to match maps and descriptions from the Periclean era. The visual appeal of these cities and environments are definitely heightened by the dynamic lighting that actually changes with time and weather. One thing I like about the world is definitely authenticity, and it clearly shows throughout the game. Ubisoft Quebec went to great lengths to ensure an accurate and immersive experience. There is ambient dialogue in Greek which fills the world as you explore. You see, while cutscene dialogue is in English, actors deliver it with Greek accents ranging from pretty decent to perfect. Pronunciation of Greek names and vocabulary is correct, which surprisingly does teach you a lot about how to pronounce these names. The exploration aspect of Assassin's Creed Odyssey does not just consist of what's on land, but also throughout the waters. I mentioned earlier that Assassin's Creed Odyssey's world is massive, and the Greek Sea plays such a massive role in this. Ubisoft Quebec definitely hit the nail on the head when it comes to the ocean side of exploration. Oh, and if you have thalassophobia, diving into the ocean might not be your best idea because it does go quite deep, as you can see here. What you're seeing on the screen is not a glitch. It's just the abyss of the dark underwater world. The ocean is alive with activity, featuring dolphins and even whales accompanying your ship, while schools of fish dart in and out of the water. Of course, do beware of lurking sharks beneath the waves, ready to attack you the moment you enter the ocean. So yeah, the world of Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one that is definitely stunning. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But it's far from being flawed. It's a world that truly stands out to me and is a personal favourite setting of mine throughout the entire series. The story of Assassin's Creed Odyssey is, in my opinion, perhaps one of the weaker attributes, not just in the actual main narrative, but also in its modern day. Let's start off with the modern day. So of course we know that Layla Hassan is our present day protagonist. Now whether you think she's a great character or not, that's entirely up to you. I for one find her to be classed under the wasted potential category of Assassin's Creed. She had the potential to become as memorable as Desmond if only Ubisoft gave her more of an in-depth character. This means learning about her backstory and providing us with some sort of an emotional connection, but unfortunately we got nothing of the sorts. The game starts off with the modern day assassins heading to London along with some fellow assassin buddies to uncover the mystery of Leonidas' spear. Now first off, I'm a massive fan of the modern day in Assassin's Creed. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I have some pretty positive feelings towards the modern day. However, since Assassin's Creed Origins shook things up with new animus technology, crossbreeding game canon with movie canon, and references to William Miles' actions in the AC expanded universe, i.e. books, comics, etc., the present day plot has begun to kind of fall apart. I imagine this would feel even more confusing to someone who doesn't really follow the modern day story outside the main game series. That being said, Layla hooks into the Animus to find Alexios' spear for seemingly no reason at all, and gets sucked into a story of family and vengeance in 431 BCE, and from here is where Assassin's Creed Odyssey really begins. The game gives us a choice to either play as a male or a female protagonist. I personally went with Cassandra, simply because that's the canon protagonist. You can argue about that all you want in the comments below. She's also the protagonist that I felt like I had more of a genuine emotional connection, and her voice actor did such a great job. At the start of the story, you're running errands for Marcos, a very dopey and kind of cheerful friend who took care of you when you were a kid. He kind of reminds me of Roman from GTA 4 if you remember that character. Marcos is in debt to a local gangster named the Cyclops, and that's pretty much the main focus early on in the game. We pretty much take down the Cyclops and save a ship owner named Barnabas, and he just hands you his ship and his crew. Barnabas is kind of like the much more charismatic and Greek version of Adewale, serving as your quartermaster for the rest of the game. There was one slight issue that kind of irked me a bit about the story early on. So Cassandra, who of course we know is a mercenary, is not exactly feared by the local thugs, nor does she work for them, and it makes you wonder what she's been up to for the 10 years of being on the island. I mean, she doesn't even know about a burnt out village near her house, or that Odysseus' palace is right there on the island of Ithaca, next to Kefalonia, which is quite literally a swimming distance away. Cassandra also has a house, but she doesn't seem to care, and there's nothing to do there. It's not even on the map. I remember before leaving Kefalonia, I found the house and made a location of it. You see, most open world adventure games do not do this, but I think they should. It's nice to have a base on the map that's yours, ideally customizable. Anyway, when we go beyond the start of the game and then move away from Kefalonia, we get to explore more of Greece, including iconic cities like Athens, Sparta, Corinth and Argos. The main storyline revolves around completing various quests to locate your father, who is the esteemed Spartan general Nicolaus of Sparta. It's revealed that he trained you in basic combat, but he also attempted to kill you as a child by throwing you off a cliff in some Spartan oracle. After a series of quests, we finally meet him, and we get faced with the choice to either kill him or spare him, condemning him to live in shame. This pivotal event unveils a vast conspiracy that stretches across the Greek world. I believe the game effectively portrays ancient Greek history. Although the main storyline completely deviates from historical events, the accuracy shines in the side quests and exploration. Interacting with historical figures like Pericles and Socrates in their respective roles provides a vivid representation of their personalities based on historical knowledge, and these characters make the story all the more entertaining. One thing to note is dialogue choices. Assassin's Creed Odyssey lets Cassandra pick responses when talking to others. There's a lot of dialogue lines, many optional, and various passing conversations with each character. Icons near choices show possible outcomes like lying, sarcasm, direct responses, or options leading to combat. Cassandra and also Alexios, depending on your protagonist, can also have romances with other characters, but they're not lengthy romances. Choices in earlier conversations often have unexpected consequences later. For instance, I remember one time I spared a family from getting killed due to them having something called blood fever, but then later on I found out that this blood fever thing spread across the whole island because of the family I just saved. So it's pretty clear making choices with care is crucial. When it comes to the overall ending of the story, I'll be honest, and I will admit it's one of the more less appealing and less memorable endings out of any Assassin's Creed game. The story brings you back together with your family members at different times. Based on how you deal with them, they'll either survive or die because of you, leading to a family gathering in the end. However, these moments lack depth or any type of significance, as you've already mostly experienced meaningless interactions with them when they ask for help, give suggestions or threaten death. In my first playthrough, my ending was very bad. I don't know how I managed to screw up so badly to the point where I believe I only had one family member left alive. So overall the story is decent, but that's not why I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Exploring and upgrading things was the real fun part for me. I do wish they put some restriction on the whole Pythagoras/Atlantis ending, because I'm pretty sure you're able to finish that questline before the cult of Kosmos or even the main story, and in that Atlantis ending we see Cassandra alive thousands of years just giving the staff to Layla, and then she dies in the process. It's weird because after that you can just go back to ancient Greece and finish the main story or any of the other questlines, making it disrupt the whole flow of the entire story. One of the major complaints I always hear when it comes to Assassin's Creed Odyssey is how bloated the game is, with an abundance of side content that is pretty much almost never ending. And while parts of what I just said is true and the game does have a lot of side content, I personally found a lot of it to be quite enjoyable, from the side quests, the mercenary system, the boss fights, the naval combat and so on, all of which I had an absolute blast playing through. One form of side content I first want to discuss is naval exploration and naval combat. This became an important element in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, though not as central as in Black Flag. It marked a shift from the horse-centric travel in Origins with Bayek. Most islands are only reachable by sailing, introducing encounters with pirates or naval conflicts between Athenian and Spartan ships. Some quests even heavily depend on the player's skill as a ship captain. Your ship, which is the Adrestia, is a pretty iconic ship, and it stands out as a ship with versatile and distinctive upgrade options. Its generic capabilities consist of arrows, javelins, fire braziers, and the very cool Chimera's Breath, which is similar to a flamethrower for the ship. The upgrades for the ship are notably impressive, allowing enhancements such as additional fire segments, increased arrow and javelin volleys, legendary hulls, and the ability to upgrade the armor of your crew, providing an entertaining array of customization options. Conquest battles were also a pre-novel addition, requiring you to weaken an area through actions like killing soldiers and assassinating leaders until a conquest battle becomes available. During these battles, you can choose to fight for either the attacking or defending army. Winning as the attacker is more challenging, but offers a more rewarding outcome compared to successfully defending the area. An addition that I quite liked is the mercenary system. As you go about your activities in Greece, which, let's be honest, often involves some form of violence, you might accumulate bounties on your head. You can choose to pay them off, which is conveniently accessible through a menu screen instead of navigating in-game locations, which was something I didn't really agree with. A more entertaining option is letting the mercenaries or bounty hunters come to you. The bounty system operates much like the stars in GTA, where higher level mercenaries hunt you for misdeeds. These mercenaries maintain an early persistent presence in the game, which is similar to the Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor. Encountering the same mercenaries is common, and you may run into a significantly high level one while exploring the world. The game has a kind of ranking system that's tied to increasing your reputation and your victories over other mercenaries. You see, at first, this system appears to be a promising feature, allowing the discovery of mercenaries and engagement in competitive killings to progress your own personal standing. However, its shortcomings become evident. Each mercenary typically possesses one strength and one weakness, lacking the depth of a nemesis system. Knowing these traits really affect your strategy, and checking them becomes unnecessary. These mercenaries are much tougher to defeat than regular enemies, and the thrill of taking part in quote-unquote boss fights is pretty entertaining. At first, I hoped that by eliminating mercenaries I could stop them from hunting me down or participating in the war battles. Unfortunately, my assumption was incorrect. You see, killing one results in the game spawning a new one. While this is not a major issue, it gradually becomes an annoyance. Around level 25, the gear that they drop tends to be less impressive compared to the legendary items obtained by cultists, or the armor set received upon completing a family questline. The romance element in Odyssey felt lackluster. It's quite hard to elaborate further because the romance mechanics seem like an afterthought, lacking genuine storytelling or emotional depth. And what's quite odd is that you can have multiple romances without facing any consequences at all. However, compared to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I'm pretty sure romancing in that game did provide you with consequences. So I do wish Assassin's Creed Odyssey's romance did have repercussions, instead of you being a literal hoe. When it comes to the bosses in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, now these were additions to the game that I personally liked the most. Of course, it may not be on the level of a Dark Souls boss or an Elden Ring boss, but some of them in this game are kind of hard, and that's okay to admit. Take the Erymanthian boar for example. This is the second boar you will fight in the game, and yes, it's a boss, despite being a boar. Similar to his Caledonian sibling, this boar charges at you, delivering massive damage with his horns. However, what really elevates the challenge is its ability to unleash poisonous gas, rapidly draining your health. The gas can cover a large area, making it very difficult to escape. Another boss I found to be quite challenging is Medusa. This boss is concealed deep within a forest on the island of Lesbos, and taking her on requires unlocking and maxing out all your overpower abilities. Of course, do remember I'm speaking from a standpoint of playing this game on the hardest difficulty, and if I recall, I'm pretty sure my weapons were the most powerful ones I could have got. Medusa has the most intricate attacks among the 4 mythological creatures, and often at times she summons 4 stone mercenaries, rendering herself temporarily invulnerable. She also has this pretty horrifying laser similar to Superman, and executes a sequence of 3 consecutive lightning attacks, all appearing on the floor. A little bit into Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you'll encounter an enemy group called the Cult of Kosmos. These are the bad guys responsible for many of the problems in your protagonist's life. Each one of these cultists is linked to their boss, who is called a sage, and each sage is connected to their mysterious cult leader. But the twist is you don't know where or who these people are. No HUD markers guide the way, and there's no real way to track them. But in my opinion, that's the fun part. While exploring ancient Greece, you'll stumble upon clues or bits of dialogue that can help you narrow down a target. At first, you'll have some pretty vague hints, like an island or a city name that's tied to the cultist on your board. Gather enough information and you can track a cultist on your minimap, hunting them down with clear directions. Crossing names off your kill list and watching the whole cult crumble feels incredibly satisfying. Stumbling upon a new cultist, whether it's intentional or accidental, often brings an adrenaline rush in the game. I remember one time I was clearing a fortress and one of the cultists just happened to stumble by with a crew of bodyguards, and it was quite convenient as that cultist came to me instead of me hunting down that person. The thrill of hunting down these cultists is pretty heightened because it all intertwines with the broader storyline. Cassandra is on a mission to dismantle the cult, and the most effective way to do that is by exploring the world and tackling side quests at your own leisure. While earlier Assassin's Creed games hinted at open world assassination amid other plotlines, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the first to genuinely deliver on this promise, and it's all thanks to the Cult of Kosmos. And then we move to the ending of the Cult of Kosmos and the leader, and that is Aspasia. As I delved into uncovering the mystery behind the Cult of Kosmos, my excitement reached its peak. However, the revelation proved disappointing. Despite dedicating numerous hours to the quest, the payoff was lackluster, and the revealed villain turned out to be one of the least memorable in the Assassin's Creed series. The unexpected ability to romance Aspasia during this pivotal moment was just plainly absurd. It's uncommon to encounter a game where you can romantically engage with the villain pursued throughout the entire story. It was even more strange because throughout the game, Aspasia was portrayed as an ally, a friend, and an overall trustworthy character. There seemed to be untapped potential to depict her as a true antagonist working behind the scenes. However, the opportunity was missed to make her a more memorable villain. In my opinion, expanding her reveal into a more extensive mission, exploring her motivations and emotions, rather than merely witnessing philosophical discussions in a cave, could have elevated her status as a more compelling villain. The 3 choices provided in the game were all notably lacking in substance. The first option involved a very easy boss fight that, no joke, lasted only a few seconds. The second option was an unconventional choice to kiss her, which, let's be honest, just seemed completely out of place. The third choice was to let her go, which made you wonder why they would even add that option. It also did not help knowing that throughout the game, hints like the ghost is a woman and the ghost controls Athenian politics were dropped quite early in the game, making Aspasia a very plausible candidate because of her marriage to Pericles. These clues, when known early on, made her identity painfully obvious as the leader. Much like the Order of Ancients in Assassin's Creed Origins, which Bayer confronts centuries later, the cult of Kosmos serves as a precursor to the Templars. In this case, Aspasia openly discusses the establishment of what will evolve into the Templar Order. She emphasizes the necessity of a philosopher king to peacefully govern the world from a position of authority. Aspasia presents this idea as compelling, suggesting it's a noble cause she envisions for the future. This moral ambiguity between the assassins and the Templars has been a recurring theme in Assassin's Creed. Just as Haytham Kenway believed he was acting for humanity's way to good, so does Aspasia. Through the insights of the Pyramid artifact, she envisions a future where this force for good exists. Aspasia also acknowledges the need for balance. When she's standing by the glowing pyramid, she says this: "People like you, your bloodline, have always posed a threat." Cassandra represents a proto-assassin, just as Aspasia embodies a proto-Templar. Now, one aspect of Assassin's Creed Odyssey that definitely deserves to be talked about is for sure its cast of side characters. I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, but take Assassin's Creed Black Flag aside, this game definitely has the best side characters in the franchise. And what's great is that almost all of them are historically portrayed and not made up. Certain historical figures are minor characters, hiring Cassandra for small tasks, while others significantly influence the game's storyline. Cassandra even has the opportunity to romance with some of these characters, making the side cast all the more entertaining. Let's start with Alcibiades. This is perhaps one of the most memorable side characters in this game, and for good reason too. While some people might find him a bit on the annoying side, I personally adore this character. If you're unaware, he's a side character that's based on the real historical figure who is a public speaker, a politician, and a general during the Peloponnesian War. Ubisoft's inclusion of him in the game is commendable. You see, in the game, his character is pretty odd, exuding a kind of carefree and a lively party animal vibe with a very unusually high sexual nature. His portrayal is praiseworthy as it seems to actually capture the real life Alcibiades. Our first encounter with him in the game, while it's brief, is pretty memorable, showcasing his sly and rule-ignoring personality. It is a refreshing departure from the typical side characters in the series that are often made up on the spot. Alcibiades' questlines in Assassin's Creed Odyssey were enjoyable, but I do wish there were more of them. Given his eventful real-life history, perhaps he could have been tied to the Order of Ancients somehow, or perhaps opened up an entirely new storyline. Another great side character that I loved interacting with in Assassin's Creed Odyssey is Barnabas. Now, Barnabas emerges as a character who feels like a companion throughout the game, serving as the captain of the Adrestia and a genuinely pretty cool ally to Cassandra. His consistent cheerfulness adds a welcome contrast to the often serious demeanor of other characters. While some people may underestimate Barnabas as just a mere side character, he plays a pretty pivotal role, and thanks to him and his crew, we're able to leave Kefalonia. Barnabas proves indispensable, repeatedly saving Cassandra's life and displaying a knack for gathering some pretty important information, which kind of reminded me of a Greek spy. His personal story, which was centered around locating his long-lost wife, is pretty interesting from start to finish. The revelation about his daughter further enhances his character. You see, unlike many other side characters in this game, Barnabas remains by our side until quite literally the very end, making his presence truly special. While it's great to have such a fantastic companion aboard the Adrestia, I can't help but wish for more narrative-driven adventures with him on the land, where he could have been more involved in the main story, or just like Alcibiades, opening up a new storyline. So yeah, those are just two noteworthy side characters I had to mention. There's plenty more, such as Marcus, Brasidas, Socrates, and so on, all of which are interesting and entertaining in their own right. If there's one thing Ubisoft did pretty well when it comes to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it's definitely gotta be their side characters, so kudos to them for that. Assassin's Creed Odyssey definitely embraced RPG elements and player specialization. The game features 3 skill trees: Hunter, Warrior, and Assassin, allowing you to tailor to your own playstyle. Whether you prefer being a proficient archer, a durable warrior, or a stealthy assassin. Well, I say assassin, but you don't even play as one. Assassin's Creed Odyssey offers flexibility. A notable difference from Origins is the ability selection method. Instead of having all skills active, you can now match specific abilities with button prompts of your choice. Some abilities may perfectly complement your build, while others are versatile enough to be used in any playstyle. I opted to concentrate on maximizing a few skills, and for the most part, it lived up to my expectations. However, looking back at it now, I wish I had invested in a skill such as Ring of Chaos instead of Spartan Kick, because even with Spartan Kick maxed out, it didn't quite prove as valuable as my other fully upgraded skills. A few skills that I personally recommend and love using was Second Wind, a skill that embraces automatic health regeneration upon activation, making it an incredibly versatile ability suitable for almost every build. You see, given the absence of health potions or any type of medical consumable in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Second Wind becomes an absolute essential for any type of build you go for. Another skill I loved and recommend is Shield Breaker. This skill became a very crucial skill for me, particularly in the early game during arena battles. When you reach its maximum level, Shield Breaker not only pushes the enemy back, but it also inflicts damage that spreads to nearby enemies. This skill massively helped me with my progress to those arena waves, and I doubt I would have been as successful without it. Another skill I went with that I recommend is the Rush Assassination. Now this one proved invaluable in my stealth kills. With a fully upgraded assassination chain, I was able to swiftly eliminate many cultist guards in one go. Apart from its efficiency, Rush Assassination is valuable for its moderate range, and while it doesn't match the reach of, let's say, a weapon like the bow, it removes the need to cross an open courtyard in a fort to execute the skill. Now the last skill I loved is one that I'm pretty sure we've all used, and that is the slow time skill. I mean, it's quite literally in the name as to what it does. The charm of slowing down time in a fast-paced game is quite hard to resist. You can use slow time in boss fights, which is most common against the Minotaur and Medusa, who are two bosses that I believe often have swift attacks. In addition to dealing more damage while also having your time slowed, the skill also proves to be an efficient method for rapidly building up adrenaline. So yeah, there's a lot of skills in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and those are just 4 that I picked out. I don't really want to drag this section on for too long because I could have easily mentioned so many more skills. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is undeniably impressive. It's a game that has breathtaking visuals and a pretty stunning world to explore. It's a game that not everybody will enjoy, and that's perfectly fine. I for one personally had a very fun time playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's pretty surprising because a lot of the older age or older AC fans absolutely despise, the RPG side of the franchise. And me being somebody that's played every Assassin's Creed game since Assassin's Creed 1 at launch, I actually enjoy the RPG games quite a lot. In fact, Assassin's Creed Origins is my second favourite Assassin's Creed game ever, just behind Assassin's Creed 2. What are your thoughts on Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Leave it in the comments below. Anyway, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And with that said, I'll see you in my next video.